Hey, Ben, are we ready?
Yes, we're live.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I called to order the Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting on February 5th, 2024. It's 5 o'clock, 5:02 I have. Could I get a roll call, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councillor Lee Garcia.
Here.
Councillor Romero Worth.
I'm here.
Councillor Michael Garcia.
Present.
Councillor Alma Castro.
Present.
And Chair Chavez.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes from staff?
No changes from staff, Madam Chair.
Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? See none, motion passes. Next is approval of the consent agenda. Did we have any items pulled?
No items pulled that I'm aware of, Madam Chair.
Members want to pull any items?
Approve consent.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? See none, motion passes. We have no presentation or informational items. Nothing pulled off consent, no action items, no executive sessions, so matters from staff. I'll turn it over to you, Director Wheeler.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, I did want to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about potholes. It's a very hot topic right now, and I think there's a lot of aspects that you're probably dealing with your constituents, and so we'd like to make some information available, just what we can provide verbally today, and we're preparing presentations about our Complete Streets Division for going forward. So potholes are a result of pavement that has degraded, basically. So you'll notice that your nicely new paved roads like Agua Fria we paved not too long ago, and some parts of Cerrillos Road, they don't have potholes in them. But as the pavement degrades and cracks, it allows the water to get in, and the freeze thaw pops the asphalt off. And so patching is a real short-term, actually not very long-lived fix to a pothole problem. The real fix to a pothole problem is to do pavement rehabilitation on the road. So you just get a really good piece of pavement. We call it mill and fill. That's where we like grind off the top 2 inches and replace it with asphalt. Makes a really nice new finish. Lasts a good solid 6 years with no additional maintenance required. So there's a lot of that needed around town, as you know, from the number of potholes. We had a gas tax bond for $12 million, $14 million that we had spent by about 2019. We had funding for pavement rehabilitation in the 2018 GRT bond. The governing body has been appropriating about $3 million a year for pavement rehabilitation. But as you can see, that isn't enough. We really need to be investing closer to $6, $7, $8 million a year. And partly because when we all got here in 2017, 2018, we were behind that. The pavement was already crumbling. Also, it's a big burden because we took on Cerrillos Road in the last few years, became ours. I mean, that's a 6-lane facility. That's a lot of pavement. So the streets team answers pothole requests that are submitted either to constituent services by phone, by email, by their counselors, by directors. Every day the pothole team pulls up the list and does what they can. Sometimes they do a pothole palooza. Well, they'll just take all of the entire streets crew. It's about 30 people, and take them off of grading dirt roads, and take them off of fixing concrete, and take them off of anything else they're doing, and put everybody on potholes for 12 hours. And they did that right at the beginning of the legislative session this year. And we'll do a pothole palooza in the spring when the asphalt plant opens back up and we can use hot mix again. That really is the best kind of fix. In the winter time when it's cold and wet, we can only use this bagged material that's supposed to make it pretty solid, but it doesn't last as well, anywhere near as well. But they do it to try to reduce impacts. And so there's a team that's focused on it. Please enter your requests. They'll get on as fast as they can. I think that process is working to the best of its ability. And then we do take that information from constituent requests about where all the potholes are happening and where they feel the like Airport Road where the top layer's coming off, because that was, if you remember when DOT gave us Airport Road about 5 years ago, we made them do a little top layer on that to give it to us in good shape. And now it's been 5 years and it's coming off. So we take all the information of your eyes, all the constituents' eyes and ears, our professionals in the streets division, and we make a list of the top priorities of things that need pavement rehabilitation. And then every time we hear from the governing body that it's time to consider some capital appropriation for pavement rehab, and say if you say $3 million, $4 million, we'll make the $4 million list out of the top needs from constituent requests and from what the team evaluates right now, because we're looking forward to the possibility of a GRT bond later this year after all the audits are done. We have the $30 million list that we're putting together. So it'll be the top priority, and we always distribute it evenly among the districts. So District 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 all get pretty close to the same amount of investment in their asphalt. There's one other little piece, and it's called pavement preservation. We haven't had much of a program like that. That constitutes crack sealing and fog sealing, where you see that black strips. You can see it on pavement sometime. That's a really good way to make the asphalt last longer. Last year, we just bought a crack sealing machine. So we're doing some self-performing on that. And I would really recommend, and we'll be looking forward to doing a fog sealing machine so that we can do both, because that can give you 3 more years. So if you look at a road and Mark Brooks is like, oh, that road's got like 2 more years, and then we're gonna have to do pavement rehabilitation, mill and fill. Instead, we could fog seal it that year and then wait 3 or 4 years before we had to pavement rehab it. So you kind of have to do all of the above to keep us in a situation where our roads are smoother and we can afford to keep them that way. Some of the other little ancillary things to think about is whenever we do a pavement rehabilitation on the road, we have to build the ADA curb ramps. So that's always the first part of the project. We go through and we redo all the sidewalks in the zone. That's a really great thing, makes our sidewalks better and more accessible. The other thing is whenever we do pavement rehabilitation on road, it tears up the detection. Most of you who've been here for a while are familiar. We'll pavement rehabilitate a road, and the next complaint you get is that the signal's not detecting cars at the intersection. And it takes us some months to get the contractor back, another separate contract PO and a contractor out there to reinstall the detection loops. And then striping, last but not least, right? So you see sometimes a delay, and for the most part, we contract out striping. And so we have to try to attract a vendor that's got a huge contract with DOT to stripe from here to Colorado and say, hey, can you come stripe, a mile of Agua Fria? And so sometimes we're like last on the list, but we do try to coordinate all that in advance. There are a few more pieces than just getting the asphalt down. Another thing to remember is that, so for instance, we got 2.5 million for pavement rehab with the fiscal year 24 budget, right? So that money came available to us about the end of July, which meant all the contractors were booked for the season. So we didn't get much of that paving invested this past summer because we didn't get the money until August. A contractor doesn't put us on their schedule till we give them a purchase order. So we generated purchase orders as fast as we could. We got a couple of them paved, but not very many. And then all the rest of them now will be paved readily in the spring of 24 this year, because they have the POs in hand and we're on their calendar. And so we can be sure we'll get that. So the timing of the funding is really important as well. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I hope that helps.
Great. Thank you, Director Willard. Was there any other matters from Director Dupuy or anything, messages you have from him? that you're aware
Madam
of?
Chair, not that I'm aware, but along the lines of what we were just saying, I think you might know that we are, there's indications now that we'll be receiving our fiscal year 22 and 2022 and 2023 appropriations from the state. And so city manager talked about that at the meeting on Wednesday night, I believe. So we're getting ready as a team to deploy those funds and have project management resources and get those projects going as well.
Great, thank you. And I would recommend what we just reviewed about potholes and streets rehabilitation. That would be great if we could get a presentation on that so that we could have some questions, because I imagine there are a lot of questions and this isn't the appropriate place to ask them now. So And I also think it would just be good for the public to have that information like on a slide deck as a reference. So if we could add that to our long list of presentations I keep requesting, that would be great, and we could dive into some questions. So thank you, Director. Any matters from the committee? Okay, no matters. Matters from Chair. Our next meeting is Monday, February 19th, 2024. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.